Hello, everybody, and excuse me, welcome back to Brighton Beach Memoirs. We are about to go through assignment number 3. We're going to read it specifically in the play. It's pages 29 through 40. We'll go to the top of page 29 to the bottom of page 40. Now, let's talk about what's going on. We still have not met one character in the story yet, and that, of course, is Uncle Jack, and that would be Uncle if you are Blanche or Nora, and it would be Eugene and Stanley's father. Now, we know a little bit about Jack. We know that he works 2 jobs. He works like 12-hour days. He has to do that in order to pay for not just his family and the house and the food and the clothes and the medicals and all that, but also for his sister-in-law. Remember, Blanche moved in 3 years ago with her 2 daughters. So now Jack has to take care of everybody. Now, remember, tonight is actually going to be a kind of problem night for Jack because he's got a couple of problems to deal with. One, we already know that Stanley lost his job. We're going to put that in parentheses right now or quotation marks, because technically he didn't lose his job. He can still write that letter of apology. So that's one problem that Dad is going to have to deal with. The other one, of course, is his niece's problem, Nora, whether or not she should go for the audition for the Broadway show. Now, of course, that should be the mom's decision, but we know that the mom doesn't make decisions, certainly doesn't want to tell her daughter no because she doesn't like doing the hard stuff at being a parent. That was something that the father did, and he's dead now, so she's trying to push it off onto Jack. So Jack is going to have to deal with that tonight as well. And, of course, you have Eugene, and Eugene is his own problem. Eugene has his own perversions, shall we say. He's going through puberty, and the problem is he has a 16-year-old cousin in his house who he's highly attracted to. We'll hear more about that. In fact, this brings me to one thing that I want to say. If you have any little brothers or sisters or little kids around, please do not play this while they are around, because there are some very inappropriate things for young kids to be hearing. So please make sure that is the case. Otherwise, let's enjoy. Let's find out how Jack is going to be able to deal with all these problems. Again, remember, the whole theme of this play is about how family needs to stick together. So let's see if they can and do so. All right, Kate. How do you get any work done? Stan, I get it done. Kate, and your boss doesn't say anything to you about being tired? Stan, about being tired? No, he doesn't. He starts toward the stairs. Kate, did you ask him about Thursday? Stan, what? Kate, you were going to ask him about getting paid this Thursday so I can pay Greenblatt's on Friday. Saturday is a holiday. Stan, oh, no, I forgot. I'll ask him tomorrow. Kate, if it's a problem, don't ask him. Greenblatt can wait. Your boss is more important. It's so interesting that she would say that, because she's right. You shouldn't mess with your boss. You shouldn't ask too many favors, especially at a time like this. She understands just how important that job is, which is why she says don't bother him if it's too much. Now, of course, she doesn't know the irony of the situation. Stan is not going to be asking for a raise tomorrow. I mean, not for a raise, for an advance tomorrow on his salary, because he might not even have a job tomorrow. And imagine that, him going in and writing the letter of apology and then saying, oh, by the way, can you pay me a couple of days early? Don't think that's going to fly. But what he really should do right now, Stan, is tell his mom the truth. Hey, Mom, I've got a problem. But instead, he's going to hold it and wait and talk to his dad about it. We'll see. If it's a problem, don't ask him. Greenblatt can wait. Your boss is more important. Stan, that's not true, Mom. My boss isn't any more important than Mr. Greenblatt. He goes upstairs and onto his room, where he lies down, tries to read his letter, then puts it down and stares up at the ceiling, wondering about his predicament. Eugene bursts out of the kitchen and practically staggers out of the house. He sits on the steps, his head down, looking very disconsolate. He addresses the audience. Eugene, oh God, as if this weren't bad enough. And now this, the ultimate tragedy, liver and cabbage for dinner, a Jewish medieval torture. Now, remember, Eugene is now speaking directly to the audience. There's nobody else on stage making this a soliloquy. When he speaks to the audience, but there are other characters on the stage who can't hear, I'm putting that in quotation marks as well, that's called an aside. And in both cases, we're just hearing his true thoughts. Like, he does not like dinner tonight, liver and cabbage. My friend Marty Gregorio, an A student in science, told me that cooked cabbage can be smelled farther than sounds traveling for 7 minutes. If these memoirs are never finished, you'll know it's because I gagged to death one night in the middle of supper. We suddenly hear a crash of broken dishes in the kitchen. Eugene turns to the sound, then to the audience. You're all witnesses, right? I was sitting here, right? But I'll get blamed for that anyway. The kitchen door opens and Kate comes out, helping Blanche, who is wheezing and gasping quite badly. Oh, that's right. Blanche has asthma. She can't catch her breath. Blanche, I'm all right. Just let me sit a minute. Kate, didn't I tell you to get out of that hot kitchen? I can't breathe in there, and I don't have asthma. She calls out, Nora, Lori, come help your mother. Nora and Lori jump up from their beds. Blanche, I'm sick about the plates. I'll replace them. Don't worry about the plates. Kate, plates I can always get. I only have one sister. The girls have come down the stairs. Nora, what happened? Blanche, I'm all right. Don't run, Lori. Oh, yeah, that's right. She doesn't want Lori to run because Lori has that flutter in her heart, which we all know is nonsense. Kate, it's another asthma attack. It's the second one this week. Nora, maybe you better go get the doctor. Blanche, I don't need doctors. Kate, this is no climate for you near the beach. What you need is someplace dry. Lori, like Arizona, Mama? Nora, should I get the doctor? Blanche, no doctors. It's better. It's going away. Now, why doesn't Blanche want the doctor to be brought in? Because doctors cost money, right? And she doesn't have any money to pay. Who would have to pay for it? Jack. Could she really need a doctor? Maybe, but she doesn't have the money and she doesn't feel right about asking. Lori, I can still hear the whistle. Nora, will you shut up? Blanche to Nora, help Aunt Kate in the kitchen. Nora, I broke her good plates. Kate, never mind. Eugene will do it. You go up and get your mother's medicine. Lori, you sit there quiet and watch your mother. You look pale as a ghost. Eugene and Kate, come in here and help me. Jack, off stage. Hello, Miss Kresge. How are you? Eugene gets up, looks off down the street. In a minute, Ma, Pop's home. Now, this says Lori, but it should be Eugene. Eugene sits next to her mother, to the audience. I would now like to introduce my father, a real hard worker. He was born at the age of 42. Hi, Pop. How you doing, Pop? I just want to point out it's very interesting that Eugene would say his father was born at the age of 42. What I really think that means is that Eugene has never seen his father not being serious and not working. He never relaxes, acts like a kid, has fun. And the answer, the question is why not? And the answer is because he can't, because he's so stressed out because of all these people that he has to take care of. I mean, it's 1937. Jobs are hard. Also, let's not forget, he has high blood pressure. And gosh forbid, he has a heart attack. What happens to the family? Jack Jerome appears, a man about 40 who could pass for older. Listen to that. He could pass for older, meaning he looks older than he really is. Why? Because he's tired, because he works too hard. He wears a wrinkled suit, brown felt hat, and black shoes. The Brooklyn Eagle sticks up out of his side coat pocket. He carries 2 large and very heavy cardboard boxes tied around with hemp cord. He appears to be very tired. How am I doing? Eugene, let me carry these for you, Pop. He reaches out for one of the boxes. Jack, they're too heavy. You'll hurt yourself. Eugene, no, I can do it easy. He takes one of the boxes, tries to lift it. It weighs a ton. Ugh, I just have to get a good grip. Jack stops and sits. He wipes his forehead with a handkerchief and holds his chest. Okay, stop. When a man sets down 2 packages, or a woman, when somebody, an older person, anybody, sets down 2 packages, sits down and holds their chest, it means they're having problems breathing or there's a problem with their heart. This is very serious. This is not good. Jack, I want to sit a few minutes. Eugene, are you okay, Pop? Jack, I'm resting, that's all. Give me a glass of cold water. Eugene struggles with the first box to the house. I'll be out for another box in a minute, Pop, to the audience. I don't know how he does it. King Kong couldn't lift these. All right, so this is definitely an aside. Why? Because his father's sitting right. Father didn't hear him say to the audience, King Kong couldn't lift these. Well, he can. The character, the person can, but the character can't. Eugene's thoughts. You know what's in here? Noisemakers and party favors. Pop sells them to nightclubs and hotels after he gets through every day with his regular work, which is cutting materials for ladies' raincoats. Okay, so Dad spends the days cutting raincoats and then the nights selling party supplies to bars so that he can pay for his family to live. Jack, did you do your homework today? Eugene, not all of it. Mom sent me to the store 15 times. Amos and Andy is on tonight. Do your homework. Then we'll discuss Amos and Andy. Eugene continues into the house as Nora comes down the stairs with her mother's medicine. Nora, here's your medicine, Mom. Lori, go get some water. Blanche, Lori shouldn't be running. Eugene, the hero. I'll get it, Nora. Nora, you sure you don't mind? Eugene, no trouble at all. To the audience, 2.5 seconds. That's all I ask. He goes into the kitchen. Now, do you remember what he wanted to do rather than try out for the Yankees for 2.5 seconds? I'm not going to remind you if you don't. Nora, to Blanche. When are you going to speak to Uncle Jack, Mom? Blanche, when I speak to him, that's when I'll speak to him. See, that's interesting. Nora wants to know the answer. She wants her to talk to Uncle Jack. Blanche doesn't want to talk about it at all. Why? She wants to avoid it because it's a tough decision that she doesn't want to have to make. Tonight? I have to know tonight. Blanche, I'll see if he's not too tired. I'll talk to him tonight. Kate comes out of the kitchen. Jack's home. We'll eat in 10 minutes. Nora, darling, go get Stanley. How's your mother, Lori? Lori, much better. The whistling stopped. Kate walks to the front door and goes out. Jack is sitting on the stoop, wiping his neck. Nora goes upstairs. Kate, what's wrong? Eugene said you were holding your chest. Jack, I wasn't holding my chest. Kate, you have to carry that box every day, back and forth to the city. You don't work hard enough, Jack. You want the box? It's yours. Keep it. I don't need it anymore. Kate, what do you mean? Jack, Delmar's party favors went out of business. They closed him out. The man is bankrupt. Kate, oh my God. Jack, he never even warned me it was coming. All right, so we just found out some really bad news for the family. Jack, the dad, the uncle, lost his second job. He didn't get fired or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you lose it, you lost it. But it's because the guy went out of business. He went bankrupt, the guy who owns the business. So now he's lost his second job, which means they have less money to pay for the family. Guess who Kate is going to say, well, thank gosh we have somebody's job in the family. Of course, you know the answer to that. Stanley. She's going to say, well, at least we have Stanley's check. Actually, they might not. Stanley might be losing that job tomorrow. So we've got this world of problems going around, but that is life. Sometimes the problems, they collect, and how do you deal with them? You stick together as a family. Let's see. Kate, you told me he lived on Riverside Drive with the view of the river, a $300 a month apartment he had. A man like that. Jack, who are the ones you think go bankrupt? You live in a cold water flat on Delancey Street. Bankruptcy is the one thing God spares you. Kate, all right. You can always find the good in something. You don't have to lug that box anymore. You don't have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. We can all eat dinner at a decent hour. You still have your job with Jacobson. We won't starve. Jack, I can't make ends meet with what I make at Jacobson's, not with 7 people to feed. So think about that. He says, I can't pay the bills without that job. And they have to pay for 7 people, him, his wife, his 2 kids, and then his sister and her 2 kids. Kate looks back to the house. Shh, they'll hear you. We'll talk later. See, that's interesting. Remember when, you wouldn't know this, but I mean, when you're parents and you have problems like that, you really don't want to let the kids know that you're having these problems, because then you don't want them to stress out. They've got their own issues to deal with, and they can't fix the problems, right? They can't go, well, the younger kids, certainly. Stan can help fix the problem because he has his job, but we'll find out about that in a minute. Jack, I can't get by without the extra $25 a week. I can't pay rent and insurance and food and clothing for 7 people. Christmas and New Year's alone, I made $150. Kate, nervous about someone hearing. Stop it, Jack. You'll only get yourself sick. So not only is she worried about them hearing and them getting nervous, she's also worried about him. She knows. I mean, the guy carrying holding his chest. This is a huge deal. Like we said, if this guy has a heart attack or goes down, the family's totally in trouble. Jack, he didn't even pay me for the week, the bastard. 5 salesmen are laid off, and he's going to a Broadway show tonight. I stuffed every hat and noisemaker I could carry in that box and walked out of there. At his funeral, I'll put on a pointy hat and blow a horn, the bastard. Kate, don't talk like that. Something will come up. You'll go to temple this weekend. You'll pray all day Saturday. Jack smiles ironically. There's men in that temple who've been praying for 40 years. You know how many prayers have to get answered before my turn comes up? Kate rubs his back where it pains him. Your turn will come up. God has time for everybody. Eugene has come out of the kitchen with 2 glasses of water. He walks over to Blanche. Eugene, here's your water, Aunt Blanche. Blanche, thank you, darling. Eugene, where's Nora? Lori, she went up to call Stanley for dinner. Eugene, hey, Lori, you want to take a walk on the beach tonight? Lori, I have homework. What do you want to walk with me for? Eugene, you, me, and Nora. I just felt like taking a walk. All right, so listen. He invited Lori and Nora to go on a walk with him. Now, he knows Lori has homework to do, so why is he off asking her to go? So that he's not just asking Nora to go for a walk. He wants to go for a walk and flirt with his cousin, OMG. I think Nora has a date with Larry Klerman. Larry Klerman? She likes Larry Klerman. Lori, I don't know. Ask her yourself. Eugene, Larry Klerman's my father's age. Lori, he's 20. Eugene, same thing. You think he's good looking? Lori, I don't think anybody's good looking. Eugene, Larry Klerman? He doesn't even have a chin. His tie comes all the way up to his teeth. Kate calls out, Eugene, where's your father's water? Eugene, I'm coming. As he walks through the front door, he turns to the audience. Now I've got Larry Klerman to contend with. He comes out. All right, first of all, to contend with, he actually, this knucklehead thinks he's a contender for his cousin's love. First of all, he shouldn't want that. But he thinks there's a chip. He flirts with her enough. Maybe she'll flirt back with him and maybe more. Oh my God. He comes out. Here's your water, Pop. I put ice in it. He hands a glass of water to his father, who drinks it all. Kate, don't drink so fast. Kate, do you have time to look at my sneakers, Pop? Kate, what does he want to look at your sneakers for? Jack, sorry. I lost a spot. Hold on. OMG. Oh, there it is. 37's in the wrong page. Hold on. That is so interesting. They have no soles. They're hanging on by a piece of rubber. I have to clench my toes when I run out for a fly ball. Jack, I bought you new sneakers last month. Eugene, last year, Pa, not last month. I can only wear them 2 hours a day because my toes can't grow in them. This is no time to talk to your father about sneakers. He's got enough on his mind. So Eugene does lay a problem on Jack. So he's got the problem of his own. He lost a second job. Nora's going to be dropping her problem on later. Technically, Aunt Blanche will be dropping Nora's problem on later, on her problem. You got Stanley has his problem, right? And not only of losing the job, which is huge because now the father lost his job. If they lose too, they're totally in trouble. Eugene has his problems. One, his perversion, especially his lust and his flirtation with his cousin Nora, OMG. And now he's going to the father about the fact that his sneakers are broken and he needs new sneakers. Now, what does it take to buy sneakers? It costs money. So it's just adding to the father's problems, right? Hey, Dad, I need more money. Need money. I mean, now, is Eugene doing this on purpose? No. The guy needs a sneaker. He needs a sneaker. Look at that. He says he can only wear them 2 hours a day because his toes can't grow in them. In other words, it's too tight to wear. It's also indicative of how poor this family is. Listen, this is no time to talk to your father about sneakers. He's got enough on his mind. Turn the light down on the liver. Eugene goes inside and into the kitchen to Jack. We'll talk about this tonight. You'll eat a nice dinner, relax, and when everybody's asleep, we'll figure things out calmly. I don't like it when you get upset. Blanche, I'm feeling better. Come, dear, help me with dinner. Jack looks at the house. You think she'll ever get married? Kate, Blanche? She's not unattractive. I see men look at her on the beach. What does she want to waste her life in this house for? All right, now stop. Interesting. Why is Jack talking about Blanche getting married, finding another man, getting married, and getting out of his house? Is it because he wants her to be happy? I'm sure there's some of that, but I think we all know. Why does he need her out of his house, need her out of his house? So that he doesn't have to pay for her and the daughters. If she gets married, well, then another man would pay for her and the daughters, and Jack wouldn't have to do it. He wouldn't have to have the second job. All of his problems would go away. Think about what this man does for his family, what he goes through for his family. Think about it. It's amazing. A lot of people wouldn't do something like that for somebody, for a sister-in-law. Not even a sister. It's a sister-in-law. It's his wife's sister. She's not unattractive. I see men look at her on the beach. What does she want to waste her life in this house for? Kate, she's raising 2 children. Jack, why doesn't she ever go out? If she wants to meet people, I know plenty of single men. Kate, Blanche isn't the type to get married. Now, that's a really ironic thing to say, that Blanche isn't the type to get married. And the reason why I say that's ironic is because she was married before. So that's clearly the type to get married. I also want to point something out, ladies and gentlemen. I should have said it a page ago, but in the book that I gave you online, if you noticed a problem, for some reason, the people who posted this online, they actually posted at page 36, 38, 37. So you've got to go down to get 37 and then go back up to get 38. My apologies. And then back again down to get 39. Jack, she was married once, wasn't she? Those are the type that get married. Kate, Dave was different. She's not interested in other men. Jack, what about that Murphy fellow across the street? He's plenty interested, believe me. Oh, wait, stop. The Murphy fellow across the street. Remember we heard what she thought about the Murphy fellow across the street? He's Irish, therefore he must be a drunk. Also, he's not like them. He's not Jewish, so he can't be any good. Now, the fact that Jack just said, hey, what about the Murphy fellow? Why not have her go out with him? He likes her. He can tell that he likes her because he looks at her. He flirts with her. The fact that Jack says that tells us that Jack is not a racist or against people who aren't like him. All right. So it's very interesting. His wife is, but he's not. Let's continue. He's got a good paying job. I'm sorry, Kate, that drunk, the man can't find his way into the house at night. He slept in the doorway once in the rain, went out to get the milk. Jack, he's got a good paying job. He lives alone with his mother. So he takes a drink on a Saturday night. Maybe what he needs is a good woman. Kate, not my sister. Let him meet someone lying in the next doorway. I don't want to discuss this anymore. She goes inside and into the kitchen. Now, first of all, who is Kate to decide who her 40-year-old sister dates or doesn't date? I'm just saying. It's kind of not her business. I mean, even though the woman lives in her house, should she get to dictate who she dates? No. She goes inside and into the kitchen. Jack sighs, gets up slowly, and follows her in. Our attention goes to Stanley on his bed, still reading the letter from Rosalind Wiener. He suddenly sits up. Nora knocks on the door. Stanley, come in. Nora, entering. Are you busy? I wanted to talk to you. Stanley, that's funny because I wanted to talk to you. Nora, about what? Stanley, I need a favor real bad. You're the only one who can help me. Nora, what is it? Hold on, I got to scroll down to 39 now. Stanley, well, when Pop comes home tired, he doesn't usually pay too much attention to me and Eugene. He's different with you. He's always interested in what you have to say. Really? I hope so. Oh, sure. You never noticed that? Not really. What's the favor? Stanley, this may sound dumb, but at dinner, do you think you could steer the conversation in a certain direction? Nora, what direction? Stanley, well, something like how much you admire people who stand up for their principles. Nora, what people? All right, so she doesn't understand, and nobody really would, but we should, right? Remember, he got fired for standing up for his principles, right? Because he stood up for that guy, Andrew, and he wants the conversation to go around to the point, well, standing up for your principles is the right thing to do. And then he can say, oh, well, Dad, that's funny because today I stood up for my principles and I got fired. And the dad can say, well, you did the right thing. You stood up for your principles. You know what? That's a silly way to go about it. What Stanley should do is just rip that Band-Aid off very quickly and go, hey, Dad, I lost my job today, but let me tell you the story. And then tell him the story. This whole roundabout of principles and getting her to say principles, it's ridiculous. But it shows you he's young. He's 19. Nora. What people? Stanley, any people. Principles is the important word. If you could work it in 3 or 4 times, I'd be very grateful. Nora, 3 or 4 times? Stanley, it'll be easy. I'll mention someone like Abraham Lincoln, and you look up and say, now there's a man who really stood up for his principles. None of that makes any sense. Nora, I have my own things to bring up at dinner. I don't want to get into a discussion about Abraham Lincoln. Stanley, not his whole life, just his principles. Nora, why would I do such a stupid thing? Stanley, because as of tomorrow, I'm unemployed unless someone besides me mentions sticking up for your principles. Nora, what happened? Did you get fired? Stanley, I will unless I write Kaiser Wilhelm a letter of apology. It's really up to my old man. I've decided to do whatever he tells me. Nora, when are you going to ask him? Stanley, tonight, right after dinner. Tonight? Does it have to be tonight? See, now Nora's upset because she has her problem and she wants to dump her problem on Uncle Jack. But now she realizes that her cousin, Uncle Jack's son, has his problem. So she's like, oh, crap. Listen, Stanley, that's the deadline. I have to give my answer to Mr. Stroheim in the morning. Why? Nora, couldn't you ask your father in the morning? Stanley, he gets up at 5:30. My mother has to line up his shoes at night because he can't make decisions at 5:30. She is about to break into tears. What's wrong, Nora? See, he doesn't know about her problem. She should tell him her problem. Nora, angrily, I don't know what you have to complain about. At least your father is alive and around the house to make decisions. You don't know when you're well off, Stanley. Sometimes you make me sick. She runs out of the room, slamming the door behind her. Stanley sits there looking bewildered. Eugene walks into the dining room facing the audience. He looks at them and speaks. Okay, of course Stanley doesn't understand because Nora hasn't told him her problem. And oftentimes it's funny. All of these problems are swirling around the family. The most important thing we're learning about these problems is you need to be truthful and honest about your problems. When you have them, go right to your parents. Mom, Dad, I've got this huge problem. Here it is. The more you wait, the more you hide, the worse the problem gets, the harder it becomes to explain and to fix oftentimes. And the lies end up getting, sometimes you have to lie in order to hide that problem from people. And then, of course, makes things worse. So let's hope everybody, well, see, here's the problem. Can Uncle Jack deal with all these problems tonight because of his heart and his problems as well? It's going to be an interesting dinner. That's all I've got to say. So everybody, excellent job. Assignment number 3 is now done. Make sure you get all of your questions answered and have a great day. Thanks a lot.